speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know I said me if it go flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight. Me have to take away myself. I have to take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Surely I cleave your eyes. I said, yeah, I find you very hard to resist.
Greetings, kings and queen. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. Today is Wednesday, June the 30th. You know it's the ending of this month. We move into the next month and the next month and the next month before we complete 2021. So today our special guest is none other than Miss Sheronette Mercurius. And we did a chat session with her a couple of days ago, and we're going to broadcast it this morning. So I have with me this morning Flavius and Francine. Max Wanet is out this morning. So top of the morning, guys. Top of the morning. Where's my people? Top of the morning.
Morning,
right here.
All right. All right.
We're right here.
Yeah. So both of you are in Jamaica this morning. So let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. We're going to start with the lady first. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
It has been so in and out in terms of weather.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the weather, we had some heavy showers just the other day, but yesterday it was bright and sunny. This morning again, it is also bright and sunny. Last night was not as hot as the other night, but you know, it still had that heated feeling. This morning I got up and I wasn't sweating as the night before, so I guess it was a very cool night, or rather cooler night than the night before. But as far as I'm seeing, it's bright and sunny this morning. I'm not seeing any dark clouds, so I guess we're going to have a sunny day today.
Okay. Flavius, what's happening on your side?
Same on my side. Same thing.
Same thing. All right. Guess so that.
Yeah, man, but the heat is on.
It's the green as usual.
Uh-huh.
You know, we are seeing the green as usual, but just like Francis said, we had rain a few weeks ago, days ago, but now it's bright, blue and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
No clouds.
That's good. That's good.
So just enjoy as it comes.
Well, it lasts.
You wanna
So
bet
it's our
that
turn to ask you, what's happening in Kingston 21? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
rainy day in Florida from last night to now. It's been a rainy day in Florida. So,
So we
as
exchange
expected,
weathers then.
yeah, as expected. But I figure you guys would be under the same depression as well, because I'm thinking this is coming maybe somewhere off of the Atlantic and come across. But apparently it seems like this is coming from the Gulf. So we are wet. We are wet.
We are dry.
So we are wet.
Dry.
So we are wet, guys. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So we know it's the summer, and the summer this time of the year, it's hurricane season. We don't know how much is out there yet. I don't hear the weatherman tell you how much them expected as yet, but I'm bracing myself because this is the time of the year where you like and you don't and you dislike.
I think they're saying somewhere around 15.
15? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a little bit.
But
so
I don't hear the breakdown.
All right. Well, anyway, before we get into our guest chat this morning, I want to play this song, covered by Tasha Williams, and we had been dedicating it from Monday for Teddy for the comforter Teddy. We are trying to comfort him with songs. And so today, I'm going to continue with it. And then going to bring in our recording for a guest. So for those of you just joining us, so welcome to the Real Stuff Podcast. And in case you're wondering what we're talking about or who our guest is, it's none other than Sheronette Mercurius. And she'll be joining us via a chat session we're recording. All right, guys, so sit and stay, don't go nowhere.
I could just tell them a little bit about who she is. She's the first female qualified football coach in Jamaica.
Yeah, man. When we're talking, come up, we introduce her. I have the bio, so all of that is in place already. All right, Tasha Williams with Covered.
Run over me, shield and my defense. Cover me, cover me, cover me. Cover me, cover me, cover me, oh, cover me. There is a change coming. Don't you feel the wind blowing? I can feel the chill, evil on the rise. Will you take that pill or stand firm in its will? Your money, your name will not be able to help you. No, no, no. Fame or lame won't be able to save you. You got to be covered under the blood of the Almighty. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered under the blood of the Almighty. Covered under His blood. Nothing here is strange. Mankind is deranged. He said this in His word, or didn't you observe? Nation rise against nation, famine and pestilence all around me. Oh, what a shift. The world is in a ditch. Mothers against their daughters, fathers against their sons. Watch out for the deceivers, proclaiming to be the Messiah. Wars, and rumors of war. Still there is only one way. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, covered, covered under the blood of the Almighty.
When I see the blood, I will pass over you. Death angel passing through. Are you covered?
You can kill this word, but my soul belongs to the Creator of me and you. Lord, I belong to you. I am covered. I am covered.
Whatever you're going through this morning, I hope you're covered under the blood of the Almighty. The music of Tasha Williams.
Under the blood of the Almighty, oh, covered, covered.
Walking on sand and holding your hand, feel like a tourist in my own homeland, in my own homeland, enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight in my own homeland. This place is so nice, wanna do everything twice. Yes, I feel as if I'm in a paradise. No matter the season, you've got every reason. This place is another big heaven.
Yes, 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 the music of Miss Pam Hall. And this, I'm going to use this song as the intro to our guest this morning. And as I said, it's a recording with Flavius, Maxwanette, Francine and myself, and we sat down and we had a one-on-one chat session with Miss Sheronette Mercurius. So, let me give you an intro of who Sheronette is. And it goes like this. I started coaching just after graduating from Immaculate Conception High School at 16 and went on to become Jamaica's first certified female football coach. I achieved the level 1 and level 2 football coaching certification and coached boys and men for 23 years. I am also a level 1 and level 2 certified basketball coach. I am trained in the disciplines of relationship skills, conflict resolution, human sexuality, group facilitation skills, peer education, counseling, and HIV/AIDS prevention. As a coach, I had reason to tap into different areas of my skill set, as coaching encompasses more than what takes place on the field of play. It was also my belief that players were to be treated as human beings and not merely a means to an end. I had to understand, at least to a point, their lives off the field to know how to motivate them and when not to push too much. These are the words of Sheronette Mercurius.
Steady mental, a quadrillion, you can fill your belly with the coconut jelly, mango, papa, cane and Guinea. There's a key in a saltfish and a roast yam and banana, curry and goat and a man is.
Okay.
Hi, Sheronette. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hear you laughing. You sound chirpy this evening.
No, it's that it's a round robin of good afternoon.
Oh, a round robin of good afternoon. So okay, I hear you. So we're gonna do this like it's a morning chat session. So you know what? So we're gonna go right into it and start it out. I know Flavius have the bio and Francine got the bio as well. I don't know how much they study, but we're not going to really talk off of your bio. We're just going to talk about who is Sheronette Mercurius.
You pronounced my name perfectly. Wow.
Yeah, I find
and I realized. Mm-hmm.
What you say, Francine? Go ahead, Francine.
I was just about to say to her, I know that she's an Immaculate Conception High School graduate, so I mean that's good enough for me.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. So tell us about Sheronette now. Who is Sheronette?
Who is Sheronette? A former football coach. I coached football for, I think, 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I coached basketball for 6 years. What else? I worked at the Jamaica Support for Life when I was in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
What else? That's me in a nutshell. I've done some form of social work for many years, but I'm kind of taking my time now. It's my time now, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Your time now, so to speak.
Yes.
And that include?
Well, just rest. I'm hoping to start studying next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards social work, but only as it relates to having the papers, so to speak, because I think I'm burned out working in the social work field, but having the paperwork is still applicable if you're working in other environments.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to be working in the field of social work, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay, beautiful. Now, you have been coaching football for over 23 years, and it has been boys and men. I also see where you have done basketball. Now, tell me what's your preference, and how is it when you coach boys? Because men tend to have this ego thing about them. So, I mean, you are a female going out as their coach. How is it, and what's your preference?
Well, football will always be number one. Basketball will always be number two. But I actually started coaching football when I was 16. And that was just, I was in Garvey and I heard a knock on the gate and I saw a group of young men and they were like, listen, your dad coaches senior team. You need to coach us. I'm like, I know nothing about football.
And it started just like that.
That is how it started. And then I actually hold the distinction of being Jamaica's first certified female coach.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, I did level 1 and level 2.
Okay.
In terms of coaching the men, I coached under 16s first. And of course, some are going to try to test you, but I was like, listen, it's my way or the highway. There's no discussion. And I basically had a family environment on the team. So, there couldn't be any bullying. And there's a particular standard that I always had. Your gear had to be clean. That was non-negotiable. So it grew from there where players that I coached at an under 16 level would then graduate to the under 19 team or the senior team. And then you'd have other men who would come in and, like their friends would say, okay, don't try it because she's not going to tolerate it. Over the years, I learned that, you had to listen and you had to have because sometimes you'd have to come to a kind of agreement. But there's certain areas that I would not. Discipline was something that I couldn't not have, because you have to be disciplined when you're playing the game. And I keep telling people, I don't care what you do in your own time. That's not my business. What I need to know is that you understand what we need you to do, and you're going to do it to the best of your ability.
Right.
I got more pushback in basketball than I did in football, though. Because in football, I was more well-known, and I was coaching an inner-city basketball team where they gave me a nickname, Mafia, because they said I was just disciplined. I was like, no, you're allowed to do certain things, but then, because I've always had a policy where the harder you train, the easier the game is. So my training sessions were pretty hard. And some persons didn't appreciate that. And, because of that, what happened was I butt heads with some players, regardless, whether football or basketball, but mostly basketball. But, that's the impact in terms of how I related to the men.
That's right. So it's obvious that you're a no-nonsense person. And in terms of your I'm trying to find a word because you can't say, you can't actually say no nonsense sensibility. That's not a word. But whatever it is, I see where you got training in disciplines of relationship skills, conflict resolution, and stuff like that. So it means then you're a disciplinarian, and that's good because I'm interested in that as well, you know. And I see where you do counseling and stuff like that. So you have an umbrella of different things that it's all under, even though it's a big umbrella, all of it or most of it covers discipline. You know, that's what I was leaning to. So is it something that you captured from school or from childhood days with parenting and stuff? Because we spoke to your daddy and your daddy is amazing. So is it coming from training from home or school days that you said, listen, this is what I want, this is what I'm going after, I'm going to expound on, you know, self-discipline and stuff like that?
Well, it was about, I think it's a part of who I am intrinsically, but of course I went to Immaculate. Sister Morinklea was no joke. So, I mean, you know, that was kind of ingrained there. But when you observe professional teams, right, or businesses that are successful, there has to be a level of discipline if you want to succeed. So for me, there are certain areas that I'll be like, listen, I don't care what you want to do. But then there are certain areas like respect, self-respect. You know, you don't disrespect people. You speak to others with respect. I wasn't very strict in terms of certain plays where you had to do this. No. Give the guidelines and then gave you the room to be creative within specific guidelines. But discipline in terms of, you know, you can't be disrespectful to people particularly. Because, like, you know, there are other teams who would allow players to be disrespectful to their manager, or they're very disrespectful to each other, disrespectful to random people. And I'm like, people, no, we're not having that. No.
Okay. So are you in stature? Let me ask, because sometimes when you're small in stature, you know, it is harder to bring across what you want to bring across. In terms of how is it that they actually responded to you when you go out on the field and you take your stance and this is what we're going to do today? Is it that on both sides, because they said that the football you got better responses from the football because you were more known in that area? So when you step out on the field and they know that you are in charge, how was it?
Well, obviously I'm not short because my dad is tall. I'm 5'8", but it had nothing to do with my height, so to speak. It had to do with the relationships that I built with the players. Because how I coached, and back then I was being told that I was doing too much. And my philosophy was always, I have to know what's going on in the players' lives. Because if they had an argument with a partner, or if they had an argument with a parent or whatever, I had to know, okay, so not a good day to push this person too hard. Okay, go ahead, do some target practice on your own. That kind of vibe. You had to get to know your players. You had to know what their situations were, so that you knew when to push, when to kind of pull back. You know, when to say, okay, don't train today, just stay with us. Help me train the team today. That kind of vibe. You had to get to know the players. So based off the relationships that I built with the players, I mean, there are two players that can come to mind. They were both co-captains of my senior team, and they knew that they messed up. So on game day, they didn't even think, okay, we're going to play. No, they knew. They knew they weren't going to play. So they sat down beside me and they helped me coach the team. And there was no ill will, there was no bad feelings, because they knew what I stood for. And this is my senior team I'm referring to. That they said, okay, coach, we're not playing, so we're helping your coach today. And that was the kind of vibe.
They didn't wait on you to tell them, they just know.
Well, they shouldn't. Well, you know, I mean, you don't do certain things, or you do certain things, you know what the results are going to be. So it doesn't make sense, you argue, you know. And I mean, I was at the time; those were my captain and vice captain.
I'm Sheronette.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question there, Sheronette. Knowing that your dad was also a player and a coach himself, coach at the highest level.
Correct.
What did you see what he was doing at the time when you start coaching that you'd say you implement as well into your coaching application? Well,
Truth be told, I observed my dad as a player, not as a coach per se. Because when I was his daddy, it was family time, so I wasn't really, thinking of stuff like that. But my coaching style developed, it evolved. My dad as a player, very crafty, very knowledgeable about the game, very knowledgeable about the opponent. So if I were to say something, I'd say I observed his ability to scout teams, know about players, and then I would put that in my arsenal as well. Where I may not necessarily have a game that day, but I would observe a couple of players, or my team would be playing, but you're still observing a couple of players because you're going to be playing them down the line, and you have to plan. So planning is one of the things that Daddy was good at in terms of and his strategy. So. But I also observed other persons and their methodologies as well.
Okay. Flavius, any question for the young lady?
Not right now. I have some, but a little later.
Okay. So Sheronette, tell me now, in your basketball, because you see you left coaching and then you do a short stint in basketball.
Yeah.
It's two different sports. What was it like, doing basketball? Was it basketball boys and girls, or?
No, male
as well. Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like doing basketball?
Basketball, in my mind, is similar to football in terms of angles. Because in basketball, you had to understand your opponent. You had to create particular plays. You had to, the physical aspect of it, because that's how I actually got involved with basketball in the first place, was as a physical trainer for the team. Then I became the coach.
And did you play the sport itself as well? Did you play the sport? Basketball?
Basketball, no.
What the orthodox
I watched
move.
it. I watched it, but I didn't play.
Yeah.
Because with basketball, one of the things, it can be very simple, depending on the level that you're playing, but it can be very simple if you understand certain basics.
But what was it that you understood that make you become the basketball coach? Because I know it's not nothing near to netball, right?
No, well, it's kind of similar. I mean, I played netball for like 2-3 years in my early 20s. But with basketball, the good thing is that we had very talented players. And what I focused on was sometimes a player would get too caught up in the opponents. And I'd be like, listen, basics. If they have a good ball handler, get the ball out of his hands. It's simple as that. Rebound, defense wins game. In any sport, defense wins.
Yeah.
Okay? So you'd focus, okay, gentlemen. Free throws. That was one of the Achilles heels for the team, because they were poor at free throws. And I remember we would go hard in practice. Listen, people, we need to get this. And I remember we lost a game by, I think, 5 points. And we missed about 25 free throws.
Okay.
And a couple of players were crying. And I'm like, you're crying? Oh, well. Because they didn't take the training seriously. When I said, guys, let's practice this. So for me, it was basketball. For me, was about just trying to get the correct chemistry on the court. Because as I mentioned, they're very, very talented players. And sometimes you just had to kind of get them out of their heads. And said, listen, you're better than that team, but they're beating you because they're doing the small things that you're ignoring. And you can't ignore the small things. Like something as simple as a rebound. A shot goes up, turn, face the basket, start walking backwards. You're backing out. You're boxing out somebody, right? Defense. You don't need to grab the ball sometimes. Just get a deflection.
Okay.
Because particularly if it's their top point guard who is the person who is pulling the strings, right? You constantly getting a finger to the ball, getting a deflection, it's going to get a person frustrated.
Right.
Okay? And if you know, for example, that they have a big man on the post who is not good at shooting free throws, and you know you have how many fouls, foul him. If the game is close, foul him. Because you know inevitably he's going to miss at least one.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so like the shock effect. The shock effect.
Right. It inevitably, you know, you find people will just. You need to listen and understand that, particularly the game is about angles. You move there, the ball goes there. Because no matter how quick you are, it's always going to be easier to pass the ball and get it back in another position than you try to go with the ball yourself. And it's the same even in football.
That's true. That's true.
Right. It's just a basic football, basketball.
So it's a teamwork. It shows the team effort to make the ball along and get it going. Right.
Well,
so it is from. Go ahead.
Yeah, teamwork in terms of understanding your role and accepting your role. Because you'll have players who think they're better than they actually are. Or you as a coach will observe that, okay, this person is an excellent defender, but in their head, they're an excellent attacking player.
Okay.
And you're like, understand your role, accept your role. Because as a team, your team needs you to be a boss at your role. And that's in any sport.
True. You know, when I look at your resume or your bio, put it whichever way, I see where you have this all of these skills, you know, relationship skills, conflict resolution, and group facilitation skills, etc. And I'm wondering how you find time for put this in. You know, do you have like days where you'd have group sessions with people, or you just implement this into your training with your players as you go along?
Those trainings that I got, you know, were when I was working with Jamaica Aid Support for Life. Right? And that came in handy when I was doing work, you know, I'd worked HIV training, discussing HIV, preventing HIV. When I was doing the final thing I did before I came up here was working to help prevent violence against women.
Okay.
And in those scenarios, I was doing interviews, for example, and you had to make yourself available at the times when persons were available. So if someone is a security guard and their break is at 1 a.m., you'd have to call them at 1 a.m. and do the interview at 1 a.m.
Okay.
And then there were times where I would have groups. You'd have groups where, you know, you'd have a particular topic of discussion and you'd have to facilitate the group. And you would, you know, basically manage the meeting and address certain topics, whatever the topic at hand was at that time.
Okay. Because I
have a question. Okay, go ahead.
You go ahead because. Go ahead. I don't
my
want
question is because I was just asking. It is from age 16 that you have started doing your coaching. So I was thinking, what is the highest level of achievement that you know award that you have achieved?
In terms of
locally or nationally in your coaching profession?
Well, the highest I would say was when they had the South Central Confed on the All Island tournament. I was the coach for the St. Catherine. I coached St. Catherine in under 13s and under 15s That's where I coached. Apart from that, Happy Solon was the manager of the St. Catherine team at the time. And in the South Central Conference, it would be St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. And I coached the South Central Conference team. Apart from that, my coaching was specifically for Garvermead FC in Portmore. And I did a couple stints, in like some areas where I do a little assistance here or there, but it was mainly in Garvermead because in my mind, if you gave the young men something to do and something to look forward to, then a particular trend would decrease and a more positive outlook would be there.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Junior time at Immaculate, right? Because I know you're surrounded by a lot of nuns. I know they used to participate in a lot of training stuff like this, a lot of training skill, counseling and things. Because I've been there with that.
No, I didn't participate.
You didn't participate?
Anything of that nature, no.
Okay, because I used to go there to do some Saturday classes with a nun by the name of Sister Grace.
Right. When was that? I left Immaculate in 85.
In 85, wow. This was about, I'm going to tell you, 81. Yeah, 81.
Okay, no, Sister Morin Clay was the principal when I was there.
Okay.
And we had like Sister Gisette, and I can't remember anymore right now.
Yeah, it was 81 because I remember 1980 was election and 81. Yeah, we went on a camping, and after the camping we came back and we did some courses over Immaculate. And it was all about relationships, and they were teaching us as teenagers at the time. Because it was the CYU, youth movement, Catholic youth movement. How to conduct ourselves as teenagers and things like that.
No, I actually didn't do anything like that at school. The things that I would say that I did at school, I did a little bit of swimming. I did some tennis. I did netball very reluctantly.
Very reluctantly.
Listen, I will not pretend.
You so funny it is. You did netball very reluctantly, but yet still it came back to be one of your source benefit in basketball coaching.
No. Well, I played netball after I graduated when I started working.
Okay.
But at Immaculate, I was just too cute to be playing netball. No, we thought. I mean, when they told us that we had netball training, most of us went to school with our tennis rackets.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I'm playing tennis. I'm not playing netball. And I refused to play netball.
But yeah, because I don't think you guys had a netball team per se at Immaculate. You might have one, but never popular.
We had in those days. What we were good at was swimming, badminton, tennis. Those are the three sports that we were very good at.
Yeah.
So I was in swimming, I was in badminton, and I was in tennis. But netball, nope. I was like, nope, not happening.
You were too cute to play netball, yet still you got out and you turned a football coach.
And a basketball coach on top of it. So.
And a basketball. You were too cute. My gosh.
My first question now. Well, I was tell you, I am a football coach, a player, and I also play basketball.
Okay.
One of my philosophies is that in any sport, the sport is in the person. And the job of the coach is to try and get it out, what they have inside. But what I'm seeing nowadays, is that the coaches are trying to go into the players and not allowing have inside to come out. What's your thoughts on that?
I believe in that. You see, for me, you're supposed to have guidelines, yeah? But then you're supposed to allow the player to be creative. Because, well, that's how I coached. I had a philosophy, as I think I mentioned earlier, that there were specific guidelines, but then I allowed a player to be creative. And as such, I had multi-dimensional players. because my training session, one of the things that my players loved was that target practice was for everybody. I don't care if you're a goalkeeper, you're a defender, midfield, I don't care what position you're playing, you need to be doing target practice. And the idea behind that was, if I were ever to need a goal, I don't want to hear that, oh, I'm sorry, coach, I didn't score it because I'm a defender or I'm a goalkeeper. Nope, don't want to hear that. So everybody did target practice. That was one of the things. And everybody did defense. And a saying that my players grew with was, as in terms of whether or not you're playing out and out defense or you're a forward coming back to help out. When in doubt, put it out. Quite simple. When in doubt, put it out.
Out of my life.
Not necessarily out of your life, just when in doubt, put it out.
That's why I agree with her.
No, man, that was a big thing in the early days.
Yes, it's a big thing, but how I looked at it was this. Make a controlled pass outside. Yes, if you have to swing it and them have to call you wild, that is one thing. I don't care. For me, yeah? If you're a forward, don't try to get creative inside my 18-yard box. The ball comes in and the ball needs to go, kick it outside. If it goes for a corner, I don't care. If it goes for a throw, kick it out. When in doubt, put it out. And I have a story behind that. I had a player who, very good young man, center back. And he wouldn't listen. Every time I said, brethren, don't turn inside. You win the ball, turn outside on the flank. Anything can happen. The ball can bob up on a stone. It can bob up on a tuft of grass, whatever. When you win the ball, turn outside. Do not turn inside. Wouldn't listen. You know what happened? He decided he was going to show off his flair skills. Turned inside, the forward set the ball from him, score, we lost the game 1-0. And he sat down on the field and cried. I laughed. And he never did it again. And I said, see what it costed? It costed us a game for you to understand what I was saying. I'm not saying don't get creative and don't show your skills, but know when. Time and place is a time and place for everything. And if there are two attacking players coming down on you and you're the last line of defense, don't get cute. Put it out.
I agree with you. Because sometimes, you try to be cute. You can make, back in the days when I was playing, I used to admire the simple players, the players who play with simplicity. They make the passes when they see the passes. They don't try to overdo it. And when I was doing a little coaching, I usually teach my players the same thing. Make the simple pass. Don't try to go for the ones that make you look good or, fanciness for the fans. And I do have some players where sometimes I had was to discipline them because based on the fact that they used to call them players, the stylish players, them play with the flair. Yeah, those were the flair. The one them would play with flair. In your line of coaching, right? You allow your players to bring out, the skillfulness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a time and place for that. Don't show the player in the 18-yard box.
Oh, yeah.
Go up further. Earlier on today, I was talking to a former player, and I reminded him of a particular player who, when I tell you this young man skillful, I mean he's skillful. The ball on him foot, you can't get it. But guess what? He didn't know what to do with that skill. Whenever he's on the field, he dribbles from one side of the field to the other side of the field. And I was like, listen, go forward. Go towards the 18-yard box. Go forward. I don't have an issue with you dribbling. You'll earn free kicks first. Go forward. And he would never do that. So inevitably, he'd get 10, 15 minutes in each game. And the talent that he had, he should have been a starting player, but he didn't listen. So, 10, 15 minutes.
When you first received your coaching certificate back in the days in Jamaica, how many other females that you know that was doing the same thing, coaching at the same time?
I didn't know any at the time.
You didn't know any?
It was after that I knew of players. But I think I got my certificate. Renee Simoes was the one who had given me one of my certification. I don't know what year it was, but I I had met him. I think the training was at GC Foster College.
Mm-hmm. What's his name? What's the name? What's the name of the coach?
Rene Simoes. He was the coach that took Jamaica to the World Cup.
Rene Simon. Okay. We call him Rene Simon. Yeah. 98 World Cup. 98 World Cup. He was basically a scout who turned into a coach because they bring him in as a scout, and eventually they needed a coach and they just used him, which was, very
good decision on their part.
Yeah. She cut down on the money.
Well, it was good luck, and we got to the World Cup.
So at the time, you were the only female coach at the time
that I knew of. I can't say definitively that there were none, but I know that I was the first certified female coach in Jamaica.
Were you ever offered the job of being like a national coach for the female team?
No,
nothing. Nothing close. Not even for the under 16 girls, whatever.
No.
All right. For the development.
There's a coach that shall remain nameless, who resented me and said to me that as long as he was coaching a national team, no player from my team would ever represent Jamaica. And one of my players did represent Jamaica, because I told the youngster, do not put any girl from the team until you make the team.
Yeah.
And when he made the team, he wore me gears to the training.
So why did he say that? What was the reason? Was it because of you?
Yes, because of me specifically. I called him on something because he's very arrogant and very condescending towards the youngsters, and I didn't like it. So I called him on it. I was like, dude, don't speak to people's children like that. Don't do it. Don't speak to people's children like that. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so condescending. Don't be disrespectful to them. They're people. They're human beings. Treat them with compassion. And he was just that kind of person. He's a cat's pajamas in his mind, and I was like, nah, dude, I don't like that. Don't talk to them like that. These are people. These are not puppets that you can just play with.
Yeah,
they have emotions. Respect is earned. You can't demand respect.
True.
And you have to treat them in a particular way. Yes, some of them may be inner city kids, but you don't have to meet certain types of things with the way he deals with it. And because of that, we always butted heads. And, I remember he saw me in a sports store one day and was like, yo. And of course, he couldn't be talking to me, so I ignored him. And he said that a few more times. So he called my name, and I said, I didn't realize you were speaking with me, because obviously, you couldn't exactly expect to speak to me like that. And he said to me, how many of my players play for your team? And I said, because in a particular high school he coached. And I said, you know exactly as I do. And I moved off. That was the end of the conversation, because I wasn't going to entertain him. Because he wanted to say, okay, the players shouldn't eat meat, they must only eat vegetables. You're not going to put the food on them plate.
Exactly.
You're not going to do that. Depending on where they live, what can their parents afford? The parents they can only afford whatever. You cannot say that they must only eat that. Are you going to feed them for the entire summer? You can't make dictates like that, because you don't know what these young people's situations are, or you do know and you're not doing anything about it. So you can't make certain mandates.
Yeah, that's true.
And because I called him on it, he didn't like it, because I dared to call him on it. I was like, I don't care. I'm not scared of you.
I want to touch on two things before we get out of here. And one of them is a counseling of HIV and AIDS prevention. When you have a group and you're talking, and you're talking to them about, the preventive method of, HIV. I know there's some people, there was a phobia, homophobia going on when, you would know of a person who are infected with the disease, How you ask people to treat people who they know are infected with the virus?
One of the ways that I freaked people out in when we were making our presentation was there was one young man who was, he identified that, okay, I'm HIV positive.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did, everywhere that we went, we did this every single time. He would get a bottle of water, open it, drink some, and then offer it to me, and I drink immediately after. And you'd hear a gasp. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to get HIV that way. And that, for me, a lot of persons were alarmed. Aren't you afraid? I'm like, no, I can't get HIV that way. And I had to say to them, for me to get HIV from someone's saliva, I'd have to drink a gallon of it. It doesn't, it's not transmitted that way. And in terms of, homophobia for me is lack of information. And in terms of the impact of HIV, because your orientation or your gender has nothing to do with whether or not you become HIV positive.
Okay. Because go ahead, Francine.
I was just thinking out loud that right now persons are not even looking for persons with HIV to be scared of now. You just need to cough or sneeze. That's all you need to do these days.
Yeah.
Persons will be running. Yeah.
Thanks to COVID. COVID is... For me, though, what COVID taught me is that as persons of Caribbean descent, it alarmed me that they had to be showing people how to wash their hands. Because I'm like, you should be washing your hands already. Why is it such a big thing?
But right. Even though it didn't came from the Caribbean, though, right? It was something that was instilled in us from a younger age, from parents, grandparents. You couldn't go to your grandparents' house and you just walk into the house and go wash your hand if they're going to offer you some food.
You have to take the shoes off from the door.
You couldn't come from school and say you're going to sit down around dining table. You have to change off. I even take a bath.
Anything you wear outside, you take off before you go near your bed.
Yeah. Right. You're sitting on the bed in your yard clothes was a no. Can't go on the bed unless you have on your pajama, you have on your shorts and your t-shirt ready for go to bed, whatever you go up to bed in.
Exactly.
You know, as a coach.
Can I ask a big question now?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yes, Sheronette. What are your thoughts on the football in Jamaica today?
You're not supposed to do that. That's so important.
Hey, I was going to ask her, but I say, you know what? I want her to come right into it slowly.
My thoughts on football in Jamaica.
Yeah. That's a negative question.
Okay, for me, I've seen improvement, but there still needs a lot of work to be done. And you have to hold people responsible because you can't expect corporate Jamaica and other entities to want to fund our teams if certain things aren't done properly, so to speak. I'm going to use, so our female team, because I'm more familiar with that right now. You're aware of Khadija Buchanan. Khadija, what's her name? Khadija?
Shaw.
Right, Khadija Shaw. Right? She just transferred to Manchester City women's team. She was at Bordeaux, leading goal scorer in France. And what we need and this has been something from time immemorial, where we need to be exporting our players to be gaining experience with better players, higher caliber players, so that we can bring it back to our country. But then you can't expect a player to come to Jamaica or who wants to represent the country, and then the infrastructure isn't in place. You know what I'm saying? Remember when the women were going to the World Cup and they had to strike to get paid? That's nonsense. You know, and there has to be a standard. You need to understand that This is about international. Because, okay, when we perform at a particular level, when we perform on a particular stage, and players are invited to other countries to try out to play in professional leagues across the world, it can only make our grassroots or talent better in Jamaica. Okay? Regardless of whether you're playing for the men or the women's team, male or female team, it doesn't matter. But you have to have the infrastructure in place. And persons, you can't have the same old with the same ideas. And players need to understand that when they're representing the black, green, and gold, they're ambassadors for the country at all times. Not just when they're in a tournament. There has to be proper, I'm not saying it's done or it's not done, but there has to be proper media training for all teams, regardless of what age group or regardless of what gender. Okay?
Okay.
I don't know if you watched England's women's team. There was a documentary that they did before the World Cup, the last World Cup, which the United States won. And the England women team were in media training. And then particular players were asked very hard questions, very difficult personal questions. And when they were asked those questions, they were told, we're going to be nice to you now, but there are going to be reporters out there who are not going to be just as nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be prepared for these types of questions, these types of invasive questions.
That's true.
Now, and you have to be able to weather the storm, and you have to be able to keep your composure when you're being asked certain questions, because you have some reporters, they're only there to get a clickbait story, meaning just to get a little quick money, and that's it.
Breaking news story, that's it.
Exactly, and they're going to do their research about you. So media training is something that's very important. And one thing I know is still in Jamaica is that certain powers to be still concern themselves in certain parts of people's life where it's none of their business. If it's not impacting the football, it's none of your business.
I keep hearing about the powers that be.
That is as much as I'm willing to say.
I know.
Okay?
I keep hearing about it. And I have a friend who's a teacher in Jamaica. So there's no powers that be, Franco. Then why them don't expose it? I said some people can and some people won't, because that powers that be is more powerful than me and you. Trust me.
Let me tell you, for me, it's about accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding that the game has evolved. It's about understanding that this is a world stage. And you see, if persons aren't exposed to the world, they won't have a better understanding of what it is like out there. They'll only have a very narrow view of what is happening in their corner. And education plays a very big role in that.
So true. Mm.
And then you have what I like to call educated dunces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because education is supposed to open your mind. It's not supposed to tell you that, this is how it has to be. It is supposed to give you the ability to want to do your own research, to expose yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true, but some people don't think, don't even think for themselves to realize, that when you have the knowledge of things around you, whether you read it or it's been taught to you, it's for you to expand on it as well. So that's where education is, You have to expand.
Okay, I'm going to use some examples in terms of. I'm more familiar with the women's game right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have players like who play for Arsenal, Viviana Miedema, Lisa Evans, who else? Daniela van der Donk. Well, she just left and she's now at Lyon, I think. But these are people that they play football, and then when they have downtime, they're also furthering their education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have persons in Manchester City team doing the same thing. You have persons in Chelsea's team. Magdalena Erickson, you have Pernilla Harder. These people are studying. So you have to, education and learning is constant. And I'm not saying you have to be going to university or college, but read a book.
Exactly.
Watch a documentary. You have to expand your boundaries.
That's true. That's true. You know, as someone, you've been in the game for over 23 years. Has anyone ever approached you for an administrative job for any of these teams, whether in the US or overseas?
No. I coached, as I mentioned, Happy had me coach the South Central Confed team. Apart from that, I coached. But in terms of administration, no, I've not had that opportunity.
Okay. But if asked, would you think about it or just accept it?
I would think about it because I love football. And I'd like to see the game expanded. And particularly, as a country, we're a talented country. Yeah. We have raw talent in Jamaica. And when I see some of the players I'm talking both sides of the fence in terms of the men's game and the women's game. When I see some of the players there, I'm like, really? And I know as a fact we have a lot of talent in Jamaica. But it's just the exposure and the infrastructure which needs to be better.
All right. Our program here, this video will be on YouTube forever. And I'm not going to put you on the spot. What would you say now to our administrative body in Jamaica about the future of Jamaica women football? You're not bashing them or anything. Just making a comment. What would you say to them right now if they're listening?
We need to do better. We need to support our women. We can't wait until someone else sees them and then we say, oh, they're Jamaican. We have to support them. We have to encourage them. We have to put the fund, basically in Jamaican terminology, put the money where your mouth is.
True.
That's right.
You have to support them.
All right. Well,
and if you have a minute to, since you use the word encourage just now, if you have a minute to encourage footballers in general, both male and female, what would be your words of encouragement to them right now? 1 minute.
I would say to them that work hard and do your best always. Now, your best it's not going to look the same every day, but always do your best and try to improve on your skill set each day. Now, you identify what your weaknesses are and work on them. And when you get an opportunity, take advantage of the opportunity. Because not everyone will get that opportunity. So if you get the opportunity, take advantage of it. Don't waste it. And dream big. Dream big and work towards your goals.
Very good.
Love it. Flavius, Francine, before I let Sheronette go, any of you have any final question or comment?
No, not a question, but she was very reluctant to answer the question I asked. But you did extremely well with the answer. Yeah, you did extremely well with the answer.
Thank you.
And I hope people are listening, understand that the game is now a professional team. So we have to step up to that level.
Correct.
We can't stay down at the bottom. I want to play with the big boys.
Right.
What we need to also remember is that when we're playing with the big boys, the players have to be compensated, if not on the same level, but close to it, because you're talking about families.
Oh yes.
You can't have a player to be playing and not getting paid for several months. How do they feed their kids? How do they take care of their expenses, pay their rent? And if you have something that is above board and is being led in a way where corporate Jamaica, wherever, is willing to invest. Don't joke with it.
Right.
Yeah. Francine?
What she did, she just motivated me a bit, like maybe 50%, a bit more than how I was motivated. Because here is a strong female, she's of, I am loving how she put across, how she stood up and represented, females, holding the fort out there, and it's good to hear. It's good to, because I've been learning a lot, because, for me, football is something that I only watch, but I don't know it like that. So to hear a female actually putting it across, this is excellent for me.
Sheronette, for me, I can say I hope you get back into the game on a more professional level this time, like maybe in administration or as a coach again. But this time,
administration, yes.
But this time for a female, maybe Jamaica female team, or if you start in the States where you're at now, and then they can see your true potential and say, we need to put women in charge of our, woman football in Jamaica, where we can make sure that it is being taken care of the right way, with people who are knowledgeable. And you're one of those knowledgeable women out there right now that are sitting on the bench. Sitting on the bench. They have you on the sideline. And I think someone listening to this program today should, able to call you and say, yes, let us call Sheronette Mercurius and give her this position. So we thank you, Sheronette, for taking time out of your busy schedule and for spending some time with us this morning. And we do ask that you join us again. Like we do it all over.
Thank you so very much for having me.
And when you get the job, you let me know, okay?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
I make sure I lobby for you, so when you get the job, you let me know. All right?
Most definitely. Thank you so very much for having me.
Yeah, man. So you have a good day and take care of yourself and be safe out there and say hi to your dad for us, okay?
I'm about to call Daddy now. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Okay, one love.
Bye-bye.
Voice makes me weak. All you gotta do is just speak. One
Walking on sand and holding your hand. Feel like a tourist in my own homeland. In my own homeland. enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight in my own homeland. This place is so nice, wanna do everything twice. Yes, I feel as if I'm in a paradise. No matter the season, you've got every reason. This place is another little heaven. East or west, I couldn't care less. Ooh, this place, it is definitely blessed. My own homeland. North or south, feel free to wander about. You can jump, dance, or sing and shout in my own homeland. Give yourself a treat, a few a day.
Yes, indeed. You have just heard our podcast episode with Miss Sheronette Mercurius. So we come to the end of another Real Stuff podcast. We ask that you join us tomorrow when we do it all over again. We want to thank all of you who were in the live chat room this morning. Those who didn't participate, but we just thank you for your presence as well. So we ask you to make sure that you like this, share it, and also subscribe. Remember to subscribe and like it. The video. The object of this channel is to educate you and entertain you too. So go ahead and share it with your friends and family. And just share. Like, and subscribe. Before I get out of here, I just want to, so many things have been happening from Sunday, Monday, to friends, family members. And I can just say, that prayers are going up. I just heard that another friend of mine, a sister of mine, is now in the hospital. So I just want to send up some prayers also for Empress Toilette and her family at this time. So I'm just going to leave you with some words of encouragement. Just live in love every moment of your life. Be grateful for each new day. Cherish your family and friends. Bless others. Keep the faith. Never lose hope. And remember, prayer changes things regardless of what religion you belong to. You must pray and continue to pray. On behalf of Max Juanette, who's also, was just also fell healed. She too is now in the hospital. So our prayers are going up for her too as well, As I said, so many things happening. So on behalf of Flavius, Francine, Max Juanette, and myself, I just want to thank you all, for being such good sports with us each and every day. And join us tomorrow when our cook and curry with our chef from Tapioca, Chef Sinclair. All right. So we're going to ask Queen Lubafu, as always, in the Garifuna language, with our Father, to take us out. And Tafina, we take yourself to get us out of here too. Until tomorrow, see you.
You lead us to full. You belong far away away. Ajuguala lebabu seru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know what set me if it go flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away me say. I fi take away me say. I have to utilize I weeds. Surely I cleave your eyes. This relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I play me, but
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
Don't move an inch, I'll be gone in a pinch. May I feel take away me say.